Hey everyone, welcome to Your First Digital Product, a show that helps maxed out service providers create their first digital product so they can gain an additional income stream, grow their impact without increasing one-on-one work, and experience more time freedom. On the show, I talk to business owners who have launched digital products and dig deep into how you can create, launch, and market your first digital product. I'm your host, Renee Morozowicz. Let's go. Hey everyone, today I am here with Alastair McDermott, and Alastair helps best kept secret experts and consultants to rapidly build authority by combining the power of video and podcasting so that you can command premium fees, cherry pick the best projects, get off the gilded hamster wheel of hourly rate work, and never have to suffer a bad fit client again. So welcome, Alastair.
It's great to be here, Rennie. I'm so pleased that you're starting a podcast.
Yes, I know, right? So I went through your stuff. This is already off topic, but I went through your stuff. And so here I am trying to rapidly build authority through the power of video and podcasting. But maybe we'll get to that after a bit, because first I want to talk about your first digital product. So how long ago was that, and how far into your career, I guess, did you start that? And really just tell us all about it.
Oh, yeah. So I think it started in 2010, and it started over a kitchen table with a friend of mine who had stayed over. We'd gone for a few beers, and he was asking me for help with his website. And I started explaining to him how to build a website himself with WordPress. And he said, "Hey, hang on a second." And he pulled out his flip camera, which was this camera at the time,
Nice.
which really dates it. So
Right.
this was before phones really had good cameras on board. So there was this little pocket camera that he had. And he started recording me, and I was like drawing stuff out on paper, and he was giving him notes and stuff. And he said, "Hey, this is amazing." And so he went and he built his website, and he came back and he said, "That was brilliant. Like, you should actually make that into a product or something to teach people how to build their own websites." And so there, the idea for this product called Self-Assembly Sites was born.
Awesome. So there was a need. So it wasn't just that you picked it out of the air. You did find at least one person who needed
Yeah,
the
exactly.
product.
And so I started with him.
Mhm.
His name actually is Alastair as well, which is
Oh,
kind of
nice.
weird.
Yeah.
Alastair McBride is his name. And so I said, okay, well, let's do it then, because I had just had a very bad experience with a previous startup that I had with where I had a business partner who I didn't really get on with. We
Mhm.
were kind of chalk and cheese, and so I was feeling a bit bruised from that. And I like Al. I like Al a lot. And even though this project ultimately didn't work out, we're still very, very close friends.
Mhm.
And so we started building this together. And I wanted it. I was kind of reacting to the previous project a little bit, which was a software product.
Okay.
So I was kind of reacting to that a little bit in I wanted to make it really good, and I wanted to do it the right way, because I felt
Mhm.
that we hadn't done that with the previous projects.
Okay. Okay.
So it was interesting. So yeah, I could talk I could talk for an hour on this, but I want to answer your question. So yeah.
Yeah, no, well, I'm just going to ask you more questions about it. So you said it was a course. And so
Mhm.
how long did it take you to create it? And then,
Oh dear,
kind of what was
that's the
the, that's always a
that's the
tough question.
problem,
You're
right?
like, oh no.
Um, so now, in my defense, I just want to say that there was no lean startup movement or minimum viable product.
No
That
MVP
that
wasn't like
those words
the
did not
phrase.
exist when I put
Right.
this. But boy, do I know about them now.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Um, because we took the lean startup approach, or the minimum viable product, and we turned that upside down and did the
Okay.
complete opposite.
So it was everything. You did all of the things.
Yeah. So like before we launched, we had 108 or 110 videos.
Oh my gosh.
Every one of those videos, it had its own page on the website. So this was before there were a lot of learning management systems like
Hmm.
LearnDash and things like that easily available. So I basically built a custom WordPress website for it, which had all of these custom post types. And I don't want to get too technical about it, but we were doing stuff with this site that was really cool. Like, for example, we had the video hosting where you could select if you were on slow connections and you'd get a lower bitrate video. Again, YouTube wasn't very big at the time, which is kind of hard to believe, like talking about it now. But
Yeah,
you
that
know,
there was a
and
time.
you know, like video hosting wasn't very developed. Now, I'm not saying we would have put them on YouTube, but video hosting as a thing, it just wasn't very developed. So things like having high definition video and then this lower resolution one for people who were on slower connections, that was something that we did. And like we even had the ability for people to download the episode or the training course.
Oh, wow.
As an audio, you know. So we had lots and lots of bells and whistles. And then our bells and whistles had bells and whistles. So it was really cool as a product. Like there was a lot of stuff in there. But we made some absolutely diabolically critical mistakes.
So do you want to share those with us then?
Well, the first one, no minimum viable approach. So no minimum viable product. And so we didn't really test, you know, we didn't create something small and then go out and test the market with it. That was the first thing. Second thing is we didn't have a niche. And this is something I talk a lot about now. I have a podcast called the Specialization Podcast, which is like an audio training course for people who want to niche down and want to specialize because I know the importance of having a niche.
Yes.
So, that was a really crucial mistake as well. We didn't actually pick any one niche. We were trying to help everybody who wants to build websites to build websites.
Okay.
And and that's like, I don't know, like we could talk for an hour about just that one thing. It's if you're building products, you really need to pick somebody specific to start with.
So who the audience was like everybody who wanted to build a website and really like it wasn't a very specific problem. Like, so did people just not, I guess maybe what happened after you launched it? Like, did you get some interest? Did you get feedback at that point? And then what did you do from there to try to, you know, I guess, help it along?
We had some people, some people bought it and thank you to those people. But no, it wasn't, like we didn't build up any kind of critical mass. So what we did was we hired a sales copywriter to write a sales page for us. And we got a video made, an explainer video, which is actually really, really cool. And we kind of bootstrapped that a little bit as well. And so we got this cool explainer video done. And so we spent, $4,000 or $5,000 on doing that, which is not a huge amount of money, thankfully. But again, we were kind of bootstrapping this, and that didn't work. And then we started blogging for months about WordPress related topics. And again, there was no specific niche. It wasn't done in a very strategic way. And so ultimately it failed miserably. And the other thing, we had difficulty with the pricing because we were wondering how to price it, and we were trying to anchor it against the cost of web design, which so if you were to hire somebody, how much is that going to cost you? And that could be between $1,000 at the super low end to $5,000 to $10,000 for a professional, maybe $20,000, $50,000 if it's e-commerce. Who knows what that is? And so we were trying to sell it at $77 a month. And then we dropped it to $47 a month and then $17 a month. And then we tried one-off pricing at $47. And again, all those numbers started ending in 7 because we thought that was the right way to go.
Yes.
And we did some ads on Google AdWords and things like that. But I think a major problem is the lack of niche and the fact that we were in the WordPress space. And I found a quote a few years later from the guy who created WP 101, Sean Hesketh. And he talked about the problems he had with pricing. And they were charging $12 a month and $19 one-off for lifetime access.
Wow.
So, and that was I think that was to like the basic packet. And then he had a more advanced packet for $40 or $50 or something. But when I looked at the numbers, I realized that we were off by an order of magnitude with our pricing. in that space. We were just way too expensive. And I
Mhm.
still firmly believe that in the WordPress market, that's selling to people. And if you put the word if you put the word WordPress on there, I think that you're immediately dropping the value of what you're selling.
Because it's open source and
I think
free.
it's a hugely price sensitive market.
Hmm.
I think that a lot of people, a lot of DIY people in that market, and we were also selling
Right.
a DIY product, do it
Right.
yourself. And so, yeah, I mean, thinking back, there were so many problems, but I do think that this was one of those projects where, um, it was a bit like me doing an MBA or something like that, because it taught me so much and
Yes.
also cost me a lot of time and money.
Yes. Yes. That happens. That happens. Yeah. So what specifically, I guess, if you want to, like, what did you learn from the thing? And if you were to do it again, or maybe if you just want to talk about, like, have you done any digital products since then? I know you have a book coming out. Like, are you
Yeah.
considering that a digital product? Like, let's talk about that.
Okay. Well, the things I learned are a lot of the things I talked to you about already. The lack of niche is probably one of the biggest ones, and something I talk to people all the time, including with you a lot.
Hmm.
I think specialization is so important, and I think that niching down and picking a specific target market, ideally an industry vertical. Um, if we had if we had picked a vertical, like let's say e-commerce,
Hmm.
or
Or
simply e-commerce, and
attorneys
if we
or.
we had picked something like fashion,
Mhm.
or clothes retailers who want to build their own e-commerce website, it would have been much more specific. We would have been able to target people. The video content that we created would have been much more specific. We would have had zero competition. It would have been, our clients, our customers would have gathered at some conference, or there would be a
Mhm.
way to find them, somewhere. They'd read the same trade magazine. So the niche thing, I think, is super important.
Right.
Um, Another thing is, one of the things that we offered, as a lead magnet to get people to sign up, to our email, was we offered something that would help people to plan. And this is something that I still struggle with a little bit, because planning is usually the first step in
Mhm.
almost any kind of project. But planning is just not sexy. Planning is
Oh,
something
okay.
that people don't
Good
really
point.
want to do.
Mhm.
It's this necessary thing before we get to the cool stuff.
Mhm.
And so I think that the value of going through a plan it's very high value to some people, but a lot of people just want to get in our case, to the building of the website.
Mhm.
So they'd rather dive into building the website and then go back and do some planning,
Mhm.
rather than the other way around. That's what I found when we talk to people.
Mhm.
And
Even
so I
though
think
that's not a great way.
it's not
You're
a great
not
way at
doing it,
all.
like, it's better if you do it the other way.
Well, at least from
Yeah.
a logical point of view, it seems that
Mhm.
way. Now, if you look at it from another point of view, maybe it could be the case that they need some context before they can do the planning. So
True.
maybe they need to dive
Mhm.
in and play with the building blocks
Mhm.
first,
Get their feet
and then they
wet
can
or.
go and do the
Mhm.
planning.
Mhm.
But either way, what I found with was that, um, the people who dived straight in and didn't do any planning enjoyed it and used it more than the people who went
Interesting.
through the planning process.
Okay.
And and a lot of people just didn't bother with planning stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think what we needed to do was give people a quick win at the
Mhm.
start.
Ooh, good
And I
point.
think that would have been better than asking them to do some planning, which I think is
Mhm.
kind of deeply, deeply unattractive as a
Yeah.
as an offering.
Do you think that, like, as part of the existing product or as, like, an even, like, a smaller
Yeah.
lead-in to the bigger paid product? Like, what would you think about that?
I think, if there's a way to give them a quick win, I think that's the criteria for me.
Mhm.
And I think it doesn't really matter if it's separate as a product or if it's a part of the product. But I think giving them a quick win is more important. I think it's one of the reasons why gamification as a concept has grown hugely, because
Mhm.
people get the kind of the dopamine hit of
Mhm.
ticking boxes and seeing numbers going up or getting badges or
Yes.
whatever the gamification type stuff is. Um, but I think that gives you a feeling of progress. Whereas planning and that can feel like you're not making so much progress, even if it's something, even if it's very important.
Mhm. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, for sure. So what about future digital products? We talked about the book. Do you want to talk about the book?
Oh yeah, sure. So the book that I'm just about to release is called 33 Ways Not to Screw Up Your Business Podcast. And I'm looking forward to getting that released. That's coming out
Yeah.
really, really soon. So maybe even by the time this podcast comes out, it'll
Oh,
be
awesome.
out there.
Perfect. And so is it, I think you had really wanted to do a print, like you want to hold something in your hand.
I'm using a hybrid publishing model. There is a publisher. And the way that I found the publisher was I interviewed an author on my podcast, and she had a book called 33 Ways Not to Screw Up Your Business Emails. And you'll notice the similarities in the title.
Yes, yes.
So that was Anne Janzer. And so I was talking to Anne, and she said, oh, you should interview my publisher, Melissa Wilson. And Melissa is great. She'd be a great guest for your podcast, The Recognized Authority. And so I had Melissa come on the podcast. And I was talking to Melissa, and she was saying, we are looking for authors for this series. It's a hybrid publishing model. Would you be interested in writing a book? I was like, I don't know. That could be interesting. So it's a 33 ways not to screw up X in a business context. So what would that be? And so I was thinking, well, one thing I'm doing a lot of now is podcasting. I now have 3 podcasts. So I'd be quite happy to write about, how not to screw up your business podcast. And so I did a test to see. I wrote an outline of the book, 33 points. I wrote the title and a 2-line summary, and I wrote that one morning at about 5 a.m. when I woke up, and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I just got up and wrote that. And I just wrote it out straight in about an hour. And so I said, okay, this is something that I could write about. So I went back to Melissa and I said, yeah, hey, how about this? And she said, yeah. And then I wrote the book effectively in a month, because I tracked the word count, and I wrote most of it in 30 days, which is kind of cool. And that's just because the format of that book kind of lends itself to being written quite quickly.
And you were an expert in the field. Like you were so knowledgeable about the topic that it was easy for you to put that content together.
That's true. And that obviously helps when you know what you're writing about.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a prerequisite, although not 100%, because the process of writing does actually teach you. You learn while you're writing. So, I mean, I learned more about podcasting by writing the book for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think it helps that it was something I have thought an awful lot about.
I think I don't know, asking a question to try to make a point that I want to make, but like, when thinking about a digital product to create, like you want to create something that something about that you can speak to. And yes, you may learn more as you're doing some research, but you don't want to create something that, it's just going to take you a ton of time to do the research on. Like you want to speak from some authority. So, I think that's important in trying to determine what kind of digital product you want to create. What do you know a lot about? Like what can you share with other people? So that's, just some thoughts
I think that's really important. And it's you actually feel like a bit of a fraud when you're trying to write about something that you don't really know a lot about. And I'm just because I was thinking about self-assembly sites, and I hope Al, my co-founder, Al McBride, hope he doesn't mind me speaking out of school here, but I know that he really didn't like writing blog posts about WordPress stuff, because that was one of the things that he had to do, and it was on our marketing plan, and he didn't like it because he felt like he was a fraud because he was writing posts about WordPress plugins and things, and it just wasn't his field of expertise. Now, he actually did learn so much about it to the point that he was actually building WordPress websites a couple of years later for a short period of time. So yeah, that's where the learning aspect of writing about something comes in, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it for sure, it can be really difficult to write about stuff. But I think that it is important, like, if you are doing that, you can do it in a way that's authentic and genuine. You don't have to be an expert to write about something. You can write about what you're learning about something. Hey, this is something I'm learning about, and kind of journal it as you go. And that's a way to write. And that's a way to write something from a genuine standpoint in a way that's actually useful for other people. But,
for sure. Here's where I am in this journey.
Being the authority at the end of that.
Yes, true. Yeah, definitely. But I think something that you are interested in, something that you're passionate about. You can, have that beginner's mind, but I want to kind of caution people from picking a topic for a digital product that they just maybe think will make money. Like, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think
that's a
that's a
bad idea.
great, don't go about it that way. Like, find something that, you're an expert at, that you love talking about. Like, this is going to come across in the product, and it'll be easier for you to create in the process. So,
Yeah, I think that it being something that's kind of like a highly profitable niche, I think that that's far less important than your passion. And I also think that the passion is more important than your expertise, because the expertise will come if you have passion
mhm,
about something.
true.
But the passion, I think that you'll find it harder to develop passion for something than expertise.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. So you'll have the book soon,
Hmm.
and I know you have some other kind of products on your ladder. Like, will there be another digital product coming in there somewhere on the ladder, or you just focus now on, your group coaching, individual? Like, what does your kind of business model look like now?
Yeah, it's interesting. I will have some like downloadables and stuff that will go with the book.
Mhm.
One thing that I learned from is it Nathan Barry of ConvertKit? Yeah, Nathan Barry from ConvertKit. He wrote a book actually about authority. It was
Nice.
called Authority. Um, and he did it in such a way that he had three packages where he had the book itself as an ebook. Um, and then he had the book plus a print version plus some training videos as the second option.
Hmm.
And then he had a third option, which included some one-to-one coaching as well. And I
Ooh.
really love that idea. So I'm
Hmm.
going to do something like that, where there's going to be three options for the book. And I think that always is a nice way to, because um, if you read BlairEnn's book about pricing, BlairEnn's from Win Without Pitching, and his book Pricing Creativity, which I bought for $100, and it was well worth that $100. But
Nice.
he's doing exactly the same thing.
Hmm.
He's pricing his book at with value pricing, which is what he talks about in the book.
Hmm.
But again, he does that three package thing where you can get the ebook on its own, you get the ebook and the printed book, and then
Hmm.
you get some kind of other kind of assets, I guess, to go with that as well. And so they are digital products. So yeah,
Hmm. And some
I,
people
I
even
really like that idea.
say that the book, even though you're charging for it and it is a digital product, really is like a lead magnet. It's not even really about the money you make from that. That's just the lead in to be able to do these other things in a way
Hmm.
where people can warm up to you. They put a little bit more, I don't know, skin in the game, other than just consuming your free content. So they're buying that, maybe $20 ebook, or, a variation of that package. And then, really getting to know, like, and trust you, and then wanting to work with you, in other ways, depending on whether the products you have in your ladder, including you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think that most business books, it depends on it depends on what stage of your career you're at. When Alan Weiss releases a new book, he might be making significant amounts of money from
Sure.
that.
Mhm.
The same for somebody like Mark Schaefer. They both have written a lot of books. They're probably making a lot of money from
Mhm.
their book sales. But for people who are early on in their career, I think that your book is more of a lead magnet, lead generation,
Mhm.
and so the amount of money that you're going to make, like if I'm making $5 off the sale of a book, I'm going to need to sell a lot of those books,
Yes.
to make a lot of money. So
Mhm.
I can't see myself selling, for example, 20,000 copies a year. That
Mhm.
would be like top of the New York Times bestseller nonfiction, something like
Yes.
that.
Mhm.
I can't see that happening. But I could see myself selling maybe 500 copies a year, a
Mhm.
thousand copies a year, and I could see maybe 1% of those people contacting me
Mhm.
and wanting to work with me in some way.
Mhm.
And suddenly that becomes very interesting, even when the
Yes.
numbers are much smaller.
Yes, exactly. So the product, the digital product, or whatever it is, isn't the end. It's the beginning of the opening. Like, and I don't know if you know,
Mm,
Donald Miller from StoryBrand. It's kind of the same thing. Like, he has the book. Well, actually, he has a free email, video, 3-day, whatever. Then the book, which is $10 or $20. Then some video courses, and then, in person, whatever it is, so his ladder includes that in there somewhere. That is, again, getting people to, and it is a funnel, right? So people
Yeah.
kind of, not everybody goes down the funnel, but you're one person and you have a team. You don't need to help every single person in the whole entire world. Like, how many clients, do you need that would make a difference for
Mhm.
you? You, one, me, anybody. So I don't know. Kind of how
Yeah.
I think about
The
it.
other thing about a book that's interesting is there's the value of the book, which has nothing to do with the clients that you get from it, or the sales that you make, is
Mhm,
the value in just being the author of the book on a topic.
mhm,
Because you have the phrase, he wrote the book on it, she wrote the book on it.
for
Like
sure.
it's literally how we describe an expert, you
Mhm,
know? And so having a book on a topic, it instantly gives you credibility there. So I think that's valuable as well. And that's where you can get a bit more strategic. Now, I was not very strategic with the planning for this book. I had a happenstance call with an editor.
mhm,
She already had a series. The title of the series was very fixed. Um, so I had to just plug something into that and see, would this work? And I picked something that I think I like. I genuinely believe in podcasting. I think it's a great way to build authority. That's why we're talking. Both of us are
mhm.
here.
Yes.
Um, and you can build authority and credibility and create content so quickly. So I really do believe in that. And but it wasn't a very strategic decision in creating this. It was
Mhm,
more kind of serendipity. But
mhm.
that that's life in
They
this
don't all
case.
have to be. Like, they don't all have to be strategic decisions, right? You just said the planning was the boring part. So
This is true. Now, one thing that I did that was the opposite of that is the Specialization Podcast.
Mhm,
And so when I created that, I specifically created that because I wanted to create something like a book very quickly that would associate me with and build my credibility in the world of specialization and niching
mhm,
down. And so I created the Specialization Podcast as an audio training course effectively. Because I really like the idea of creating these evergreen podcasts that
mhm.
you can create on a topic and just leave it out there as a lead generator for you forever. I
Right.
saw Seth Godin do this with a podcast called Startup School. He created it back end of 2010, started 2011. It was a workshop actually that he ran, um, and he ran it over the weekend and he recorded the audio and he put up the audio as this podcast. And it's been there for over 10 years since, just
That's awesome.
generating leads and selling his books.
Mhm,
And it's just there. People can come along and listen to it, and a lot of people will find it useful. Maybe
mhm.
it would have been really useful if I'd listened to that before doing self-assembly sites.
Well,
But,
we live and
it's
learn.
it's out there, generating leads all the time,
Mhm,
and Seth Godin doesn't need any more credibility, but, it is something that builds credibility and reaches new
mhm.
audiences. So I really like that kind of evergreen podcast as well. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Well, anything. I just think that, like, if you're going to sell anything, whether it's your services or digital products or something, you have to have a way for people to get to know you. And these types of things, blog posts and videos, podcasts, any of this stuff is just a way for people to get to know you. And if it's, specialized enough, people are really interested in that topic, you then draw the right people to you. So it's kind of, all that synergy happening.
Yeah, I think it's really great as, I mean, I'm really interested in podcasts because there's the audio only aspect,
Mhm.
and somehow audio only seems to generate more trust in the mind of the listener than audio and video. Now, I think we talked about this a little bit on
Right.
Slack. It's really interesting because video has more signal and more things that you can make judgments
Right.
with.
But it's
But
in your ear. I think I learned this from Allie in the group, because the person is literally in your ear. They're in your head.
yeah,
So I think, well, that made a lot of sense to me.
yeah, it's strange, but I think both aspects of it work, and that's why I recommend people do
Mhm,
video as well because it gives you lots of video content to put up on social media.
mhm,
And what are social media promoting a lot of right now as well? It's video content. You look
mhm.
at the Instagram, TikTok wars,
Yes.
and
Oh
it's
my
all
goodness.
about video.
Mhm. And even YouTube Shorts. So there's Shorts on YouTube now. I didn't know if we had talked about that, but And you
Oh
can
yeah.
actually take some of your video and slice it into a short, normally like with like Instagram or things like that, you just record it and post it. But if you have an existing video, you can slice it and short it. I haven't tried it yet, and I'm not sure what the return is, but with a lot of these things and really like all the decisions you're making, like it's a trial and error. You make some educated guesses on what may work for you, give it a try, see how it works, and then adjust, course correct and adjust from there. Like, oh, this is great. I'm going to double down. I think you found that success on LinkedIn, but maybe where you haven't on other platforms. So, okay, this is where my people are. This is where my audience is. This is the kind of content that they like. This is the content I like creating, and so here I am.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's super.
Yeah. So any last things, any last thoughts about digital products specifically, or any advice, I guess, for someone who is creating their very first digital product? It's a lot of the like, don't make the same mistakes I made sort of thing,
Yeah.
but any
Um.
thoughts, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, I think validating the market is so important.
Mhm.
And
Beyond just one person, like because
oh
you
yeah,
said Al
beyond
really
one
liked it, yeah.
person. Oh yeah. And like your mom is going to tell you that you're great, and
Yeah.
that's her job. Or maybe it's the opposite. Sometimes family are the most critical.
This is true. This is true.
Um,
The
but
family may not
either
just
way, your
understand.
family are probably really bad judges of whether your product's
Yeah.
going to sell or not.
Yeah. Well, they probably just
And
don't even get it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
and
stay away from
you
family.
so like your best friend is not
Mhm.
probably not a good judge either, because they're just like rooting for you.
Yes,
So
yeah. They're like, yeah, great, go.
go and find strangers and get like people who
Mhm.
don't know you and aren't inherently rooting for you,
Mhm.
and get their honest feedback.
Mhm.
But I think the best feedback comes when you ask somebody to put their hand in their wallet and give you money.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that, because people will tell you, "Oh yeah, that's great. I would definitely buy that." And then you say, "Oh, I've got one in the trunk of the car."
Mhm.
"Oh, okay. Well, maybe not today.
Right,
I've
right.
got to, I'll always
Yes.
excuse it." It's like
Mhm.
when people actually buy the product, then you know that it's a product that's worth,
Mhm.
that's worth something.
And
Um,
pre-selling is a good way to do that too. A
yeah,
great way to validate, like, hey, I'm gonna have this thing for sale. Like, don't create it, pre-sell it, see how it does,
yeah,
just to
yeah,
generate the interest. So like that's just an option. And there's many, many ways that you can do this, but that is an option as well.
yeah. And what some people will do as well is they'll go the affiliate marketing route, and they won't
Mm.
make the product. They'll sell other people's
Mhm.
products, and then if a product is selling really well, they'll make their own version and sell that
Mhm.
instead. That's a
Interesting.
really smart way to do things as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's I mean, that's the cool thing about business. There's so many different
Mhm.
approaches you can take.
Yes, yeah, and what works for you may not work for someone else, and,
Yeah.
but I think kind of trying things out like we talked about, but also, like, hearing other people's stories, like, what they did or didn't do. Some things you may just not even consider until you hear somebody else say, "Oh, I did this," and you're like, "Oh my god, that's brilliant. I wanna try
Mhm.
that too." So, I don't know,
There is
just
one
again,
other
that
thing that I think is
synergy.
really important that relates back again to the podcast, which I didn't mention, which is we started off with zero audience, and things are a lot easier in life when you have an audience or network, followers, people who are in your social media. So I would say, build a network on LinkedIn and social media,
Mhm.
and build an email
Email
list,
list. Yes.
and create
Jinx.
something that gathers an audience around you, like a
Mhm.
podcast, because then you have people who you can go to and you can say, "Hey, if I was going to sell something, would you be interested? Does this
Mhm.
sound like an interesting topic?
Yeah,
Would you
or
prefer this?
what do you
Would you
wanna
prefer
buy?
this or
What
this?"
problems? Yeah. Yeah, you can go to them directly. I think it's intimidating for people to hear, like, build an audience, but, I think if you it's kind of the same thing as, like, define your customer avatar. Like, you look at those things, sometimes you're like, "Ugh, I just don't even know." But, I think
Yeah,
that, once you get into it, like, it really is important and valuable to be able to proceed, well, which is really what
yeah,
we
and
wanna
I
do,
don't
not
want to
just
take
take
us
a
down
shot in
a
the dark.
huge rabbit hole, but like one of the reasons why I'm writing a book about podcasting is I think that you can build an audience quite relatively quickly.
Mhm,
And like what you're doing is you're creating this body of work that people will discover and then kind of become part of your ecosystem, or they kind of come into your orbit.
mhm,
And I think it's really important to have lots of that content out there, this body of work. And podcasting or creating videos or starting YouTube channel is a very quick way to do that compared to, for example, writing a series of books or something like that.
right.
Um, and everybody who has a huge list started at zero, just like everybody else.
Mhm,
And the only thing is you have to actually start at some point.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't start, it's I don't know personally if you can buy a list, you can buy an audience. I don't think you can. I think it's probably
You can borrow,
there might be some people who
but
can do
yeah.
that, but you can borrow, but
Mm-hmm.
to borrow, what you need to do is you need to already have something in place so you can
Mm-hmm.
kind of trade.
True.
And then you can guest on somebody else's podcast, for example, and have them come back on yours, which is something I've done quite a few times. That's a good approach. But I think that you do have to seriously think about building an audience if you want to make this work, and particularly for stuff like selling products online.
Mm-hmm. You have to have somebody to sell to.
You have to, yeah.
Yes, that's the point. Yes,
fairly simple, really.
Yeah.
But it's a bit like going to the gym. It you don't get results in week 1 or week 5 or week 10 sometimes. You go to the gym every week, once a week or twice a week for 3 months, you're going to be in a different place. And you do it for 6 months or 9 months or a year, your body, you're going to be totally different. You're going to be, it's going to be life changing. And that's kind of what building an audience is like. And it does take time. And I hate that it does take time. And there's no like, unless you got a lot of money and you can like pour a huge amount of money into, but most people don't have like, I think a lot of people who I work with, they're not large corporations with huge budgets for that kind of stuff. So yeah, you've got to invest something, either time or money. And if you don't have a huge amount of money, then you probably have to invest time. And that's what we're talking about.
Organic growth to me feels really good. It's like going to the gym. Like, you start to see those gains, but not just like, oh, look, you can see my muscles now, but like I feel better. My pants fit better. Like I sleep better. Like you can see all of that in the process. And I don't know, that's the part that I like this. I talk a lot about like the journey. Like it's not just like I'm trying to get to sell the product. Like I want the things that are happening along the way, the conversations that I'm having and what I'm learning and what I'm sharing. And like, that's the good part, in my mind. And then, the benefits come from that, from doing that, from showing up.
Yeah, for sure. And like I see the monthly downloads of the podcast, they're on a slow incline. It's always slowly going up. And it's like there's not millions of people listening to it, but there are thousands now. And that's
which is
cool.
Awesome. Yeah, and it took a while. But you don't want, maybe you do, but I don't think that you want thousands of people listening to your very first, stuff. Like, just because you haven't evolved yet, to the, to what you will become. Like as you grow and the audience grows, like I think that's like a better approach to it. Having like a million people watch my terrible first video, like, yikes.
Yeah, the quality of your work and the content that you create definitely improves over time. And I'm on I think if you add all the 3 podcasts together, I think I'm on episode 140 or so.
That's a lot.
So that's going to be very different. So like I'm talking to you, I'm quite relaxed. And but 140 episodes ago, I would not have been.
Yes. And it also took you a while to get to start. Like, and you talk about this sometimes too. We should probably wrap up soon, but just like you have to start, you have to do the thing so that you can get better at doing the thing. It's like all the preparation that we do about going to the gym. Like I need new shoes and this thing, and I need this new water bottle and all this whatever nonsense. You don't need any of that stuff. You need to go and start and do the thing and keep showing up, that consistency. So that's when you're going to see those, I like talk about like the exponential curve, like, that's where you're going to see the results.
Yeah. And so I'm not at the point where I've seen any kind of exponential growth. I'm still in a very slow linear growth phase. I have been told that there comes a tipping point where that happens. I don't know exactly when that will happen.
But that's math. Like it's a universal thing. Like that's like the compounding curve is like built into the universe. So like you just like it will come like just
I'm just
showing
gonna
up.
keep doing what I'm doing.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And that's my approach to it.
Yes.
And like if you're consistent and you just keep doing, like I'm gonna take a break at the end of season 1, which is that episode 100.
I was gonna say it's the longest season ever. Cool.
Well, I was talking to somebody about this, and actually, I think I put it in the book. There's 2 TV shows about detectives, like solving murders. One is Sherlock Holmes,
Mhm.
and I think there was 4 episodes in the season from BBC.
Mhm.
And then if you flip that and you go to like CSI Miami or whatever,
Yeah, or Law and Order.
they
you're
have
like, oh my God.
27 episodes in a season or something.
Yes.
And they're both TV shows about detectives
Yep.
solving murders.
Mhm.
And it's just 2 completely different approaches to
Right.
how a season goes. That's
Right.
the other cool thing about business or podcasts. It's like, it's your show, you decide.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on. I'm so excited to finally do this and talk with you about this. So I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Renee.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'd love to continue the conversation in your inbox. Email subscribe to hey@yfdp.show or sign up in the show notes to get bi-monthly emails about how you can create, launch, and market your first digital product. Can't wait to see you there.